Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Apparently, it was awesome weather in Columbia up over the weekend as LSU got up there. Temps in the 50s at kickoff, and LSU did enough to get the win. We'll go back and hear some Brian Kelly sound from the post game when he met with reporters and talked about the adjustments that they made in the secondary.
You know, we mixed up our coverages a lot more. As you know, early on, we played a lot of man coverage, and there were tough matchups there for us. You know, Luther's a tough matchup. Weiss is a tough matchup. Mookie's a tough matchup. A lot of those guys were tough matchups for us, so we had to get into some more quarter coverage, some more half-roll coverage. We just started to mix things up.
Burden got his, that's for sure. That's a guy that Missouri made it a point to target. They threw him the football 17 times. He had 11 catches for 149 yards. That was clearly going to be an emphasis for them. Theo Weiss, the other guy that we talked about all week, 4 catches for 80 yards. He had, of course, had the touchdown as well. Look, the DBs are what they are, and it wasn't like they were getting a lot of hands-on footballs. They weren't batting the ball down a bunch, or there were a lot of guys running wide open as well. But you did get the pick at the end of the game, which mattered, and you did enough defensively to get the stops you had to get. One of the guys that had a pick in the game was Harold Perkins, and that was a really athletic play that he made, backing up into coverage. And Brian Kelly said after the game they kind of feel like they've got a bit of a role defined for 4.
It's been taking us a while to really get his role defined, and it's caused us some pain in a sense of the structure of our defense. I think we've now established where he can best fit, and it really allows us to be consistent with how we set our front and really establish the techniques that we want to run.
He's playing nickel, Sam. He's playing like the strong side linebacker and nickel. He is playing in the slot some. Then he'll come down. He'll rush the passer. He is coming on blitz. He drops us in coverage a little bit as well. He's an interesting player on defense. I mean, the guy that comes to mind for me is Isaiah Simmons from Clemson. That's a guy that was a high NFL draft pick and a guy who didn't get his contract renewed because sometimes you just have a hard time finding the role for that uber talented guy because the body type and the skill set just don't necessarily lend it to something traditional. And Harold Perkins' body style and playing style, it's not traditional. Guys that are really good at rushing the passer are usually 6'5", 270. I mean, Harold Perkins is 50 pounds lighter than that. He's not got long, rangy arms and limbs. That's not his game. He's got the body that looks more like an outside linebacker. But you don't want to waste him out there, covering guys in the slot a lot. You want to get him moving downhill and towards the quarterback and disrupting things. And that's what they're doing more often than not. But you do have to keep offenses honest, and you've got to drop him at times and move him at times and make sure they're aware of where he is. And he's a great athlete. I mean, he was an awesome offensive player in high school in the state of Texas, and he looked really natural dropping back and making that interception and coming back the other way with it. So, look, this is where I start to get out of my depth in terms of X's and O's and talking about football and whatnot and how it's best to use Harold Perkins. But I can tell you that his size and his game are not traditional. It's something that the coaching staff's having to look at. Last year as a freshman, it was pretty simple. We're going to put you right there on the edge, go. And I think to do that for 3 years in Baton Rouge would be counterproductive for his development as a football player. And you do have a responsibility as an elite college football program to take elite college football players and develop them. Like that is part of your job. Job one is to win games. That's job one. If you develop a ton of NFL guys and you get them all paid and you've got the most guys in the league, but you win 7 games every year, you get fired. If you don't develop anybody into the NFL and you win 11 or 12 games every year, you get contract extensions and raises and you win championships. I'm well aware of that, but there are levels to all of these. And one of the levels of recruiting and bringing in elite players is you have to promise them that you're going to get them ready to play professionally. We hear Jay Johnson talk about that all the time. If you want to be a major league player, you need to come here and develop this way. It's a sales pitch, and it's one that'll keep the turnstiles rolling. Can't be the most important thing, but it has to be an important thing. And I think they're prioritizing that a little bit with Harold at this point. Speaking of pass rush, LSU did get a little bit of pass rush late in the game, and Brian Kelly spoke to why.
I think it was just the attrition of just leaning on them all game. We didn't bring a lot of pressure because I didn't want to get into a lot of matchup issues. You know, I didn't want to get into a lot of cover one situations where we had 3 1-on-1. So it was a 4-man pass rush, and I just think leaning on them the whole game, we started to wear them down.
That quote agitated some people, saying, "Hey, why are you saying you don't want to get into one-on-one matchups? Why are you not? You're not bringing pressure because you're scared." And look, man, they're going to bring some pressure. They're going to blitz. They're going to get some pass rush at times. But if you spend too much time asking LSU's current secondary to run with Luther Burden one-on-one, you're going to be in big trouble a lot. That's just the facts, man. You do not have Derek Stingley out there to run with him. You do not have Patrick Peterson out there to run with him. You do not have Tre'Davious White out there to run with him, or Christian Fulton, or Corey Webster. Like, that guy's not there. Luther Burden is going to win 9 out of 10 one-on-ones. You just can't allow that. So from a numbers perspective, you're going to have to try to win with 4 up front. That's just the way it's going to have to be. You can't put that much pressure on these DBs in space. Because if you don't get home immediately, you're putting them in a really compromised position. Now, not everybody's Luther Burden. But, like, Auburn doesn't have one. Auburn doesn't have great receiver play at all. They have some of the worst receiver play in the conference. But, you know, Jermaine Burton's doing some great things at Alabama. Pearsall's been pretty good at Florida. I've talked about the A&M guys with Evan Stewart, Anaya Smith, Moose Muhammad. Like, they've got some guys that give you issues. And when that's the case, you're probably going to have to back up a little bit and hope that the front 4 can get some pressure. Not for the entire game on every snap, but more often than not. Because you can't leave those corners. And that's what Brian Kelly's saying. It's very honest. Those of you who are frustrated by press conference answers probably really like those, because it is an answer that's what he feels, and he's not telling a lie. Just can't put our guys up there with Luther Burden far too often. But they got a little bit of a pass rush late. Of course, you saw Swinson get back there and make a play. You saw Mason Smith get back there a couple times and make a play. I think they can send Whit Weeks some, and he can get in there and try to bust some things up and make a play. Mekhi Wingo can, generally speaking, get back there and do little things. They got 3 hurries and 2 sacks. 5 times you affected the quarterback statistically. I'd like it to be closer to 7 or 8, but 5 times is what it is. It's about as good as you can ask for at this point. They're just they're doing the best they can. The good news is the guys on the other side that have the ball for LSU are doing a pretty good job, and they were able to put up 42 points on this Missouri defense that was statistically number 1 in the league in rush defense and had been pretty good against some bad teams. They stepped up in class and couldn't quite get it done, and LSU did. So those are some thoughts from Brian Kelly in the post game. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.